Aisha, Roberto, or Jose, do you want to maybe introduce yourself?
I'll let that work for Jose. Jose, go ahead.
Hi, sorry, I am feeding a kid here. So, yeah, we're working on a trivia app, and we see several uses for tokens and non-fungible tokens and things of that sort. So, and also just the idea of monetizing instead of via attention, via membership. So, yeah, no, it sounds exactly right up our alley.
Yep.
Aisha, do you want to maybe mention something about what you're working on?
Oh, sorry, I thought I did. We're working on a trivia app. We have our app in both Android and iOS. Before this whole thing hit, our focus was on sports. We peaked at like 300 plus users at some point. We launched late last year. So anyway, things are going well, but now we need to kind of pivot or wait for sports to come back. So that's where we are.
So it's not only trivia, it's like predicting sports and other events. And now we're doing like your create your own trivia. But I guess that's it. We will be in touch, and I'll love to hear from more introductions.
Hi, my name is Aisha Olubi. I'm from New York City. I am a new developer, not very new, just haven't been able to code in a while because I'm also a government official in New York City. I'm an appointed and an elected representative for the district that I live in, and I'm on the ballot for June. I want to be able to create solutions for my community that can help change the way that government interfaces with the community and vice versa. So I'm here to learn and here to learn about NEAR.
Awesome. I can go next. My name is Mike Purvis. I work at NEAR Protocol. And just broadly, I have been following Unlock Protocol for a while and got really psyched about it. And I think originally I just like sent Jᵾlien a DM just straight up saying like, this is awesome. I can't believe how rad this is. And then later on just like said, oh, hey, there's a typo here. Maybe you can fix it. And then one thing led to another and I ended up writing a Drupal module that uses Unlock Protocol. And it was really fun. I gave a whole presentation to the Drupal community and seeing people's Web 2 eyes like open up, like they started to understand like the potential and they had no blockchain experience. And this is just such a great way to onboard. So I'm just really excited to be here.
Hi, my name is Jᵾlien. I also work at NEAR Protocol. I work on business development side and also like very excited to learn more about Unlock Protocol.
Well, I guess I'll finish. Yeah, my name is Jᵾlien, which is the French version of Jolien, and I'm the founder at Unlock. I'm also in New York, Brooklyn here, so maybe not too far from you, Aisha. Even though, I mean, we're pretty much the same distance wherever we are. Not supposed to get out of our places. It doesn't matter. And yeah, I've been working on Unlock for about 2 years. And maybe I'll, yeah, that's pretty much it. So I think there's not a lot of people. So let's make sure everybody can ask questions at any point. I mean, I think there's a chat, which I've seen people post messages to. You can do that. You can also interrupt me. I mean, anything is fine. Cool. So maybe I'll start with sharing my screen because I've got a presentation. We can go through the presentation and then obviously we can. I'll do demos so people kind of understand what that is. Let's share that. I think that's going to be cool. Can you see my screen from now on? I'm going to hide this. It's not fine. Sorry, what?
It looks, yeah, we're seeing your picture, your screen.
You see my screen, great. Okay, cool. So yeah, so maybe I'll start with a bit about myself first. I'm not myself a finance guy, even though I started as a banker. I'm more of a web guy. And when I say web, it's like I've been actually building open web technologies for about 15 plus years. My previous company was doing RSS feed stuff. I don't know if you guys know what RSS feeds are, but basically it's a core building block of the open web. If you listen to podcasts, it's all powered by RSS. And so one thing that I've started to realize over the last couple of years
is that the web is slowly getting more and more centralized. And it's because I think in vast majority because of its business model. It's because it's using attention as the driver for monetization when it should actually be using different things. Attention is mostly ads. It's basically, hey, we're gonna, I mean, as a creator, I'm gonna make money because I'm gonna sell your eyeballs to some advertisers or sell your private data to some advertisers. We're then gonna be basically influencing your purchasing decisions. And I think that creates a bunch of issues. And maybe let's start quickly with an example of the kind of issues that it creates. A couple of weeks ago, on February 22nd, the New York Post here in New York kind of posted this tweet, which is basically, don't buy the China story, the coronavirus may have leaked from a lab. And when I looked at this, I was like, okay, who do I trust more? Do I trust more the New York Post or do I trust more the Chinese government? And it's actually a very hard question because in some way, yes, the Chinese government has kind of a track record in some way, but also as an incentive to not tell the truth. Like they want to be, and rightfully, like pretty much every government want to be perceived as powerful and influential and knowledgeable. And so yes, they could hide the truth. But at the same time, when I read that story, it's like, I'm trying to understand what's the New York Post's kind of interest here. What are the incentives? And it's clear when I read that thing, and then when I read the article, and you can read the article, that the whole story here is may, what if, might have, all hypothetics with one very clear goal is to generate what we can see at the bottom of the page, which is like retweets, likes, and kind of engagement. And so there's actually no substance to that story. Maybe there's been research that has been done since then that would prove this, but like if you read the story, it's actually only, I wouldn't say conspiracy, but pretty much a lot of conspiracy, with the only reason, the only incentive here for them is to actually show a lot of ads. And if you go to that page, you'll see that there is basically an ad every 2 paragraphs. And so that's how they make money. So all of a sudden the New York Post incentives are not to make people or readers smarter. It's to make basically them spend more time on that page so that they can actually be paid for the eyeballs. Does that make sense? And I can't see anyone because I'm sharing my screen. So feel free.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And so, let me actually try to see if I can see Zoom in another window. I don't think I can. Yes, cool. I've got 2. I mean, for once, having 2 screens is helpful. So yeah, basically questioning the idea of incentives around content creation. And here I'm talking about a publisher, but that's actually true for any kind of creation. Like if you think about people doing YouTube videos, one of the reasons why we see all of these flat earthers and all of these kind of videos being more and more popular is because the incentive for YouTube is to surface them because they generate more engagement, which means that they generate more eyeballs, and then they generate more revenue for Google and YouTube. And so we're in that world where the incentives are misaligned between creators of all kinds and consumers, and that means that we basically can't trust what we're seeing online. And that, I think, is one of the big challenges of the attention economy. And here on that page, basically, I want you to kind of show a summary of things that the attention economy has been creating. And so the first one is information overload. If you remember, like from 10 plus years ago, we were already complaining about the fact that there's too much stuff online. And so that's the reason why there's too much stuff is like because it's actually so cheap to put anything out there. And the odds of having somebody finding it means that you'd rather put a lot of stuff, even though that's completely irrelevant, because maybe some ads will be displayed. Same clickbait. The whole point is to, I mean, that New York Post article is to get you to click on this so that so that the creator makes money. Fake news is the same idea. It doesn't matter whether it's true or false. If you look at it, they're making money, and so that's the general thing. Another one, which I think is pretty big, is the idea of awful UX. Like if you go to a website with 1,000 pop-ups and kind of ads in the middle and weird notifications and all of these things, with again, the only incentive is to get your attention. The consequences are stuff like distrust, obviously, as we've seen, stuff like ad blockers, which in the end are kind of the nuclear option, right? Like basically you cannot make money with ads when somebody has an ad blocker. Even the legit websites or the legit platforms that would actually try to do the right thing can't make money because they have these ad blockers. That also means that fewer and fewer players, mostly Google, Facebook, Apple, are getting a larger and larger share of our attention online because they're the ones who actually are able to monetize that much better. And then that also leads to stuff like privacy laws, which again, like are probably a good thing, but at the same time, making it much harder for smaller businesses, smaller creators to actually make a living because they can't be compliant with these very complicated rules. And so we're in a situation where the attention economy is kind of hurting the web very much. Does that make sense? You guys have, maybe, do you guys have other examples or things that you can think of when you read this that tell you like, hey, all right, this attention economy is kind of in some way breaking the web?
It's like focusing on a click, like to your point, like focusing on a clickbait headlines and things like, as opposed to like the actual like
valuable
investigative journalism or something, like real substance, right?
Yep. Yeah, definitely. I mean, another one that's pretty obvious, and it's everything around privacy, right? Like basically, I think it's actually proven that ads that are more targeted generate more revenue. And so that means that the incentive for creators or anyone is to get you to disclose as much information as possible. And sometimes it goes into crazy lengths to get data that they should not need, like your location. Like when you go to a website and say, hey, tell us where you are. It's like a weird, like the only reason why they want this is because they can actually show you more relevant ads. But in many ways, like, why would they need to know? Why would they care where I'm physically located? And that's scary that you have to disclose that more and more on the web for things that are not relevant, I guess. Cool. One thing though that I think is the good news is like over the last 10, 15, maybe a bit more years, we're starting to see what I call the membership economy kind of emerge. And so that's visible through a bunch of different things. So one of the obvious one is the paywalls. You go to New York Times right now, you can see you read 5 articles a month. At the end of this, you're supposed to pay to read more. I think they actually lifted that during the virus, but like that's the general idea. And pretty much every newspaper in the US, but in the world generally, is moving into the direction of having basically people pay for the content. So sure, it's frustrating as a user to say, hey, I can't read this, but at the same time, if it's the condition that they're not going to steal my attention, steal my private data, and actually create value for me, then yes, it makes sense to pay for these things. And it would also kind of insist on an aspect that it's actually pretty cheap when you think about this. Like, I mean, in New York, going to Starbucks, we can't go anymore, but if you went there a couple of weeks ago, purchasing a coffee is like $3. So for the cost of like 4 coffees a month, you can get a valuable subscription to something where you can trust the data. So it's happening on the paywalls. It's also happening on a bunch of different things, like stuff like Patreon, that I'm sure you guys know of. Patreon is a way for people to support their favorite creators, their favorite artists. And so basically you pay for them so that they don't have to steal your attention or steal your private data. I think that's actually very valuable. YouTube recently introduced a membership per channel. So you can actually pay, I mean, any YouTuber a certain amount, it's $5, and then you get access to different things on the channel. So it's not generally not content, but it's, for example, the ability to post kind of emojis or participate in the chat room and things like this, which I think is pretty valuable. Other platforms, obviously, Medium went in that direction, or if you know of Substack, which is an email newsletter system, it's actually the same idea where you monetize the membership. You monetize some content, you monetize status. Actually, let's talk about this. Membership is not just about the paywall aspect. It's not just about content. In many ways, it's actually about status. When I was actually at Medium before doing Unlock after I sold them my previous company, and when Medium introduced a paywall, we had literally no content behind the paywall. And so we asked people, like, why do you pay for this? And a lot of people actually told us that they paid for this because they supported the mission. They pay not because they want extra content, but because they care enough about the mission. And so what they're doing this is basically they're trying to get the status of being one of the Medium supporters. And one thing that Medium does pretty well is actually recognizing that status by kind of highlighting and showing a little halo around the members' avatars. It's actually very similar when you see somebody walk the street with a hat or a T-shirt of a brand. Basically, they're actually trying to purchase, or when they purchase that, get the affiliation. Like Supreme, for example, is a brand that actually does this pretty well. I don't think the Supreme T-shirt or shoes would be worth as much if the Supreme brand was not on them. And so what people purchase here is not just the T-shirt, it's the brand, it's the status of being one of the users of that. And so that's something that I think people should leverage a lot more on the web at this point. What I want to show also is that it's actually oftentimes synonymous for quality to pay for stuff. Like Netflix is a good example of this. I mean, if you remember the days before Netflix, like maybe 10, 15 years ago, again, like TV was crap. We had HBO maybe, but then there was the free stuff was really, really bad. However, the paid stuff was generally very, very good. And so I think moving away from the idea of like everything needs to be free and monetized with ads to a world where, hey, you pay for the stuff that you care about, means that you end up with a much higher quality content. Make sense? And I've seen a message in the chat, so I'll try to see if I can read it. Otherwise, maybe.
There was
Yeah,
one exception to the rule that you mentioned.
Oh, yes. Well, Seinfeld, yeah, actually, that's a good one. Except that maybe let's talk about this. There was a bunch of discussion. So Seinfeld's 20-minute episodes, it's basically the maximum you can make in between ads, which is really, really scary when you think about this. Look, and now the format of the show itself is informed by the monetization. And that's kind of weird in some way. Like you end up kind of influencing what content is being created based on the business model to actually sell it. It's almost like as if painters were only allowed to paint 4x3 paintings because that's the thing that actually fits in a living room or on a TV. And so the idea that we have to kind of decide on the format of the content based on the monetization to me seems crazy.
That's a great point.
Yep. And actually, what I wanted to mention.
I'll just jump in there.
Yes. Sorry. Go for it.
I'm not sure what that was.
I think Kenan wanted to mention something. Maybe not.
Oh yeah, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yo. Seinfeld is actually 5% to make it fit in that 20-minute window. Actually, when it originally aired, it was not.
We can't hear you.
Oh, great. Sorry, my internet's shitting. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, I'm not moving. I'm standing right where I am. Seinfeld is actually sped up 7.5% to fit in that 20-minute window. When it originally aired, it was actually well over 20 minutes.
I mean, that's fascinating. I didn't know that, but yeah, it's really outrageous. Like you think about this, it's like, no, they're actually making it faster so it fits between ads. It's insane.
Yeah, what I actually wanted to mention is like, I'm not sure if it's true. Like, I would be curious, Jᵾlien, what you think. But like, it seems like if you look at like entertainment industry, and then I'll draw parallels to the internet. The entertainment industry actually started with ad-supported model first. So like it started with public airwaves in 1950s, 60s. Then moved into 50% direct pay versus advertisement with cable in 80s, right? And now you have options like Amazon Studios. You have options like Netflix, where it's direct pay, right? Mostly direct pay. And so then we can say that maybe internet is also going through the same transformation, starting with ads and then moving into more and more direct model.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going through a transformation. I don't know that a lot of, I mean, when you think about like art or content creation 500 years ago, it was only through patronage, right? It's like basically a rich king or a rich duchess would basically hire an artist like Michelangelo or somebody else, say, hey, you're going to paint this chapel, or you're going to paint this art for me, or you're going to paint my face, which is actually what they were mostly doing at the time. So it was patronage, which was a kind of direct consumer revenue, except that the consumer was actually 7 people because they were the only one who could afford that. Then we moved to maybe public good. Like, I don't know about the US because I'm not from here, as you might have guessed, but like at least in France, for the longest time, radio waves and TV waves were actually public. And so basically they were funded by government. So the content was itself funded by government. I don't know if that's better than ads because that would also mean that the messages were tailored for the payer. But in the end, I think the lesson here is pretty clear. It's like, no matter what, the content is going to be informed by who pays for this. And so if it's the government, then it might actually end up being propaganda. If it's the advertisers, the content is going to be targeted or done for advertisers more than it does for consumers. And so in a world where, yeah, I mean, it's kind of frustrating, but in a world where consumers pay for stuff, they get to decide what they want to see, which I think is in many ways sometimes something that we actually want to have more, rather than some advertisers deciding what kind of content we're allowed to see.
I've got a quick question on the whole membership economy and kind of the broken business model that is ads. I think we all have consensus that the ads model is pretty broken and it sucks and it has like a lot of negative ramifications. But one kind of challenge that I've had when thinking about the membership economy is that I mean, it makes sense. Like, it makes sense as to have to something like this, but because of the way the internet's been built and the fact that all of this stuff is free, it's allowed many folks who perhaps didn't have the funds to be able to kind of support creators and stuff like this to be able to access this stuff.
Yep.
And so if we entirely move to a membership economy, by default, a lot of people who can't afford to support creators will probably get won't be able to get the same access that they do today. So like my question is like, how do you beat free? Because I completely agree that everything's screwed up. But like, how do you beat free?
Yeah, so it's a very good question. It's definitely one of the challenges that I've been thinking a lot about this. And I think the misconception is that it's free. Like free content.
Yeah, there's a price.
It's actually, I mean, first there's actually a very tangible price. Like in the US, at this point, half of bandwidth to news website actually spend for ads. So you load a page on, say, I don't know, let's take Business Insider, right? Half of your bandwidth to download that page is actually consumed by ads. Bandwidth actually has a cost. Like you actually pay for this in your cell phone subscription. Right now I'm using Google Fi. It's about $10 per gigabyte. So that means that I'm literally paying $5 per gigabyte for ads. So basically, rather than actually pay for ads, I pay for the bandwidth for these ads, which is kind of insane if you think about this. It's like a very backward way of doing things. So that's the first cost. But there's a ton of other costs. Like, and the team at Brave actually did an amazing job on that front, where they identified that there's actually battery costs. Like running code for ads consumes your battery. That's energy cost. That's also kind of means that your cell phone has to be more expensive because it's going to be running more, I mean, basically more CPU cycles. So you need a bigger CPU, you need more memory. And so you end up paying a more expensive device just to see ads, so you don't pay for content, which is, again, like completely backwards if you think about this. But let's take even a higher understanding of things. How much do you think advertisers make from you on a monthly basis as a normal web user in the US? I mean, when you think about this, and I don't know if you have that number, but basically Google makes, and Google is by far the best at monetizing with ads. They make about $20 a month per user in the US, which is a decent amount, but it's actually not outrageous. If you remove, the next one is actually Facebook, and I see Sasha's comment here, or Abel's comment, sorry. The next one is actually Facebook. Facebook, I think at this point is making about $10 a month per user in the US. So yeah, I mean, good, but again, like not crazy. The rest altogether is about making $10 as well. So basically, if you decide, hey, I want to see no ads, 0 ads, and I want to cover the cost of this, it would be just $40, which is, yes, a lot of money for a lot of people. But if you just account for this, that it's already half of it is paid in bandwidth, that's only actually an extra cost of $20. And so basically for $20, you remove all of the externalities of ads. I think that actually might be a good deal. So generally, I think the misconception is like around the fact that it's free. It's not free. We pay for these in many different forms. And in practice, though, the externalities, there's a ton of cost that we actually have trouble measuring. Like, I mean, again, like I don't want to go too far in politics, but like the fact that people kind of hate on each other on the web is a direct consequence of the business model. Like what amount of energy is spent arguing about things that are not worth arguing about just because basically the incentives for creators or for people participating in the channel is to actually be aggressive toward one another. This is a huge cost. And to me, that's definitely a thing that we should think about more when we do that kind of things.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think negativity sells. So like the way that these kind of systems are designed means that, you know, they want people to be polarized because polarized means eyeballs and eyeballs means engagement and engagement means ads. I completely agree. Yeah, I think you're bang on the money there. And it's interesting that you bring up all of these things here because I guess I didn't really understand this fully. I didn't really appreciate this until Brave came about and kind of broke this stuff down. But yeah, you're totally right. There are so many different, you know, costs that we pay that we just don't see. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a really good point. I really like that.
Yeah. And I mean, and maybe the biggest hidden cost is like the fact that we're actually wasting so much time on the internet. Like, I mean, since it's all done to attract our eyes, like if we spend maybe, I don't know, I mean, an hour less per day or 15 minutes less per day, that actually is 15 minutes that we could spend doing something more productive in many cases. And so, I mean, we're all working from home at this point. I'm sure there's a ton of people that end up being kind of lost in scrolling on Twitter or scrolling on social web who would actually be more productive if the incentive for Twitter and the rest of the social web was less about getting your attention and more about providing value. And so these are all externalities that we need to think about when we say, hey, this is free otherwise. It's like, no, it's not free. There's actually a cost that is maybe hard to surface, but I think in aggregate, if we move away from that model, we're going to see how costly that was actually, that actually was.
I love it. Yeah, that's I love your framing. It's a really good way of framing it. I do still think that like this is a good step forward, but I think also like I guess I could go more, but I don't want to hold up the conversation. In fact, we should probably sync up post this stuff to kind of go deeper. But I have some more thoughts on this. But all of this to say is I really like your framing. I really like the way you put this. I mean, I think this is a great step forward. I think this is a really good thing that should exist.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe one little caveat. And so there's the cost of paying for stuff, but I think the biggest cost is actually not so much about paying for things. Like when you go to say Netflix, I mean, yes, I think it's $10 or $11 a month right now. That's this. But maybe the biggest cost is actually the friction, like the fact that I have to sign up, put it on all of my devices, put my credit card number in there. Yes, I'll do this for Netflix because I'm going to spend enough time on there. But will I do that for every single newspaper, even though if they charge like $1 or $2? Probably not. The biggest cost for me is not so much dollars than it is friction. And it's also, in a way, the fact that they want so much information from me. Like a lot of cases, when you have to sign up for a service, they ask for your date of birth, your kid's name, your, you know what I mean, your gender. And sometimes like, hey, why do you care about this? Like, I just want to pay for this. Let me pay. Don't ask anything from me. And so this friction is also kind of an artifact of the attention economy, where there was an incentive to capture as much value. But I think if we move away from advertisement or from attention as the driver, we also need to think more about reducing friction. And so I think that's definitely one of the things that makes conversion rates and prices higher at this point, is because there is so much friction. If you go to a page and you have to put your credit card number and you create an account and confirm your email and then do that over and over again, you're not going to convert many times. If on the other end, it was much easier, much simple, kind of a one-click thing, that means that people would convert more, become members more often, which means that prices could go down as well, which creates kind of a virtuous loop, where all of a sudden, the more members there are, the cheaper the price is, which means that the prices can go, I mean, conversions go higher, which means that there's even more members. And that, I think, would be a much more virtuous loop for the economy, for the web economy, where you don't end up paying $10 for everything. You end up paying like $2, $3 for some of the stuff that you care about, which actually might take the cost of memberships down.
I love it. Yeah, I see the value here because you've kind of packaged it really well in that. This is essentially reducing the friction, therefore making the membership economy a lot more accessible. Because you're right, again, another hidden cost there, where every time you go to a new news outlet, you have to put your email, credit card, all of this stuff, and again, and that creates friction, and that prevents more people from actually paying for content. And so this is lowering the barriers for that.
Exactly. And so maybe let's move into demo. So a couple of weeks ago, we actually launched an experiment with Forbes, the large publisher here in the US, where you can unlock an ad-free experience. That thing was actually taken down this week because they're maintaining some stuff. It's going to come back later. So I'll do another demo, which actually might be interesting for you guys. So let me see if can you see my screen now? Yep, I think yes. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yep. So maybe I'll share these links in the chat room so you can go there as well. And maybe I should have mentioned this. The way we can actually reduce friction and at the same time ensure the permissionlessness aspect of monetization on the web, because I think it's actually critical that nobody owns this, is by using blockchain. So at Unlock, we currently use Ethereum. We're actually pretty happy with Ethereum. At some point, we might use Near, who knows? But yeah, we use Ethereum. The benefit of this is like now, when you go to a website, you don't have to create an account. Your wallet is your identity in some way. And so not only it's your identity, but it's your way to pay for stuff. And so that means that any creator can easily put a lock on their website. And that's what Unlock provides, basically an easy way for people to create a smart contract that they put on their website that allows them to monetize. So this guy is actually an artist from Mexico. I think we have people from Mexico here. He's a musician, and I would incentivize you to go to that page. The idea is like he put his music there, but he locks the music. So you can listen to the first 32 seconds, which I'm going to do here. I'm going to try to see if can you hear the music? No? Can anyone hear the music or? Yep, cool. So 32 seconds, I can listen to this. But after 32 seconds, it's actually going to stop. So I'll go all the way. I can't listen to more. The only way I can listen to more is by unlocking this. So I'm going to click on that button here. What's going on here? Oh, yep. And so basically, he's telling me, hey, I'm going to charge you 0.01 ETH, which is at this point about $2, maybe $2 something for, I think that's 5 years or, yep, 5 years. So I'm unlocking this piece of music for 5 years. And it's very easy. I'm going to click on here, and MetaMask, which is my crypto wallet, is going to pop up, say, hey, do you want to pay for this? Gas price is extremely high today, but we'll take, I mean, it doesn't matter, we can pay less here, so I'm going to do that. And so I'm going to pay basically $2.09 for him, for his music, and then about 3 cents to the network. You know, let's actually pay a bit more, so actually it can go there. And then as soon as I've done this, basically the content is unlocked. So I say, hey, thanks for your purchase. I can hit continue, and you can look at now the kind of the CD, I guess, the disc is playing, and you can see that I got now 4 minutes worth of music. So I can actually listen to the rest of his music here. Cool. I don't know if you can hear this, but yeah. What's really, and it shows unlocked here, obviously, as a status. What's really cool about this is actually that content is actually hosted on IPFS. So it's completely permissionless, decentralized. He publishes his music, and I'm able to actually listen to his music, pay him for the music. So he actually got $2 from me, or he's going to get $2 from me sometime soon. What we've done at Unlock is we decided to, and that's actually one of the challenges of blockchain, is like the idea of finality, the idea of like the transaction being mined. We basically say, hey, for $2, nobody's going to cheat, or yes, someone is going to cheat from time to time, but it doesn't matter. The friction here has to be taken down, which is why we do this thing called optimistic unlocking, where even though the transaction is not final, we're able to kind of already know that it's going to eventually happen, and then unlock the content. Any question about the experience here?
I was just going to ask about the timing, but you already said that. So you unlock it before the actual transaction happens?
Yes, exactly. We're able to look, I mean, the transaction is in some way, what's in the transaction is deterministic, right? We can actually know what's going to happen at any point based on the state of the chain. And so if we know, all right, this is the state of the chain, if this would go through now, it would be mine. So we assume that that user is actually paying for this, has enough on their account. And so basically we're going to do that a couple of times, and then eventually the transaction will go through. If we find that the transaction would fail, then we would immediately lock back and say, hey, no, you're cheating here. You're trying to tell us that you're paying, but you're actually not paying for real. I mean, it's not magic. Credit card actually works the same way, right? When you go to the bank, or so the bank, to the store, and you purchase something with your card, the money is actually not taken from your bank right away. It's taken from your bank sometime up to 30 days later, because they have a system in place that kind of allows them to assess how likely is the fact that the transaction will go through. Even if you use a debit card, it's usually not instant. There's a couple kind of minutes for the transaction to actually be taken from your bank account, which is the same mechanism that we use here.
And quick question, why do we not see that much of the credit card enabled workflow on the internet? Is it because the chargebacks and how expensive it is that micro payments are not possible, essentially?
So yes, that's one of the things. First, credit card is actually quite hard to use outside of a very small number of countries. Like, yes, the US, you can use Stripe, it's great. Stripe is actually, I think, available at most in 30 countries at this point, which means that a lot of countries actually left out of that world. And then you said it, basically the cost of the Stripe or the credit card infrastructure is so high that for $2, that would actually not be worth it. Like basically charging me $2 here means that he would basically give, 50 cents to credit card companies for that sake, which is kind of a lot of money in that case.
So quick question for me, I'm sure we're going to get into the fungibility of, the keys, which yes, I have some background on your company. So okay, we haven't got there yet. But my one question is, why aren't you using a wire or now recently announced Circle Pay? Like why Ethereum? I mean, this sounds so much overhead when you could literally use the underlying network, which is what you're talking about, but with an actual stable and some onboard that people do understand, right? Like an Apple or Google Pay.
Yeah, so that's actually something I'll show you later. It's actually part of one of my demos. But yeah, we do allow people to pay with credit card, and then eventually with Apple Pay, Google Pay, or any of these other systems. It's definitely something that we're working on soon. So I'll show you the demo after this, if you don't mind.
Awesome, thanks. Yep.
Cool. Let me maybe show you another example. This guy, Chris Black, actually writes a lot about DeFi and has done a bunch of videos that he's locked, basically. Say, hey, you can't watch my tutorials about, this one is about Chai, which is an interest, it's a stable coin with an interest rate. Think of it like savings accounts, basically. And so you cannot watch that full video unless you become a member to his blog. And so basically you would pay 2 DAI, which I think is kind of starting to move into your question, Kenan, is basically the idea is that he's using a stable coin here. And so I'm gonna just do that. If I click on that button and say, hey, do you want to pay 2 DAI for 7 days? I'm gonna say yes. So I hope I have DAI on that account. So there's actually 2 transactions here. I need to first allow him to spend my DAI, and the second time is actually purchasing the membership here. I'm going to confirm. And you'll see that immediately, you've seen in the back, the video appeared, and I can actually play the tutorial that he has. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. And so now I can learn about chai, right? Cool. That makes sense.
This is awesome.
So same kind of experience, very easily. He's locked. I mean, he's recorded this video, actually put it on Vimeo, and then put a lock on it. And so that allows only the members to actually view the content. So he's monetizing with this rather than actually putting ads in the middle of the content, which we could do, obviously, but I would always kind of raise this question of like, hey, are these ads paying for your content? Is the stuff that you put in there kind of trusted, or that kind of thing? Like, now that I pay for this, I become the customer, which I think is a good way. Cool. Any question about that experience? No?
We'll do it on YouTube, or because YouTube has its own advertising.
Yeah, exactly. So you could actually do something similar on YouTube, where you would basically record the YouTube video, but then you would have to embed that video on your own website, because YouTube doesn't support the protocol per se. So you would embed the video on your own website and then manage the playback on your own website. So that's possible. It's a bit harder, but yeah, that's definitely possible here. Makes sense. Eventually, we do hope that YouTube implements the unlock protocol as well. Like, allow me as a YouTuber to kind of put my lock on my own videos and then stream from there. Cool. Another example that I like very much, and actually this kind of let me toggle too. I'm using Ethereum, as you know, and I've got a bunch of accounts, and so I'm going to switch to an account that actually is not a member. So the guys at Scout is basically a company building dashboards, and so what I want to show here is like, locks are not just about content; they can be about software itself. There's stuff that are locked, features that are locked that I cannot use unless I'm a member of that software. And so that's what Scout did basically. So that dashboard is locked, and you would kind of unlock the membership to get access to dashboard. That account doesn't have ETH, so I can't purchase the membership. But if I toggle to another account, you'll see that I have a membership here. That kind of segues into the question that Kenan had about NFTs. So the way the membership is actually represented is through an NFT, and so that account is a member, and you can see that since I'm a member, I've got the NFT in my wallet, and I can see all of the dashboard now and see what's going on here. So non-fungible token, I think, is a critical element of the discussion here. So as I've discussed, basically membership are represented as NFTs, and you see that the thing that I purchased are now final. So I'll actually go there. You'll see that I've received. So when I purchased the key to Chris Black's video stream, you can see that I've transferred about two DAI likely from my account to his lock, which is the smart contract that he deployed for his membership. And then in return, I received a brand new NFT number 44 to my address for his lock, basically. And so that NFT is mine. I can click on this, and you'll see that I'm actually able to view that I purchased it 2 minutes ago, and it's token ID 44. Let's actually go now to OpenSea, which I'm sure you know is basically a non-fungible store, and that's what starts to be interesting. So I'm going to basically go to the NFT of that membership. So you'll see that it's basically the chai tutorial. Oh, I should have clicked on this. You'll see all of the chai tutorial, but like basically the chai tutorial NFT that I just purchased here, it's a token 44, and it's here on OpenSea. Can anyone paste their Ethereum address in here in the chat room? I mean, I hope somebody has an Ethereum address.
I'm finding mine. I'm going to send it. 1 second.
Okay, cool.
I'm trying to log in with Nir, sorry.
And so what I'm going to show here is like, obviously I'm a member of Chris. Oh, great. Sasha, you're going to get this. What I'm going to do
Sasha beat me.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do here is, oops, I clicked too fast. I'm going to gift you the chai membership, Sasha. So I'm going to transfer this. Obviously, this is a transaction, so MetaMask is going to pop, say, hey, do you want to transfer this? Again, gas fees are pretty high today. I think there's a lot of activity going on chain, and we could talk about like why Near would be better in that case. But I'm going to transfer that membership to you, Sasha. So you're going to get it in hopefully in a couple of seconds. I mean, it says 1 minute, but let's see here. And what's going to happen after this is like basically I am not going. Oh, did you go through? No, not yet. After this, what that means is I'm not going to be a member anymore. So that means that I will not be able to play Chris's video anymore. But then Sasha can, because Sasha is a member after this. Does that make sense? And so Sasha, if you want to go to that page right now, you'll see that it should be locked for you because the transfer has not happened. Let's actually refresh it. Let's wait a couple more seconds. Hopefully it's going to happen soon. You see here why I'm very frustrated with Etherscan. I've been telling them that they should use Unlock to monetize their stuff rather than actually put these dumb ads. I don't know what that's for. But I mean, there's a ton of like pro features on Etherscan which could actually be monetized via membership, via lock. Say, hey, you want to, I don't know, inspect what's going on in the input data here. You could do that. It's a pro feature, and you unlock Etherscan Gold for like, I don't know, $5 a month, and then you get access to these features. I think this hasn't went through yet. Let's. Oh yeah, it did. So you see that the transaction actually, the NFT number 44 was transferred from my account to Sasha's account. If I go back to that video and refresh the page, hopefully, yep, you see that I cannot play the video anymore because I'm not a member anymore. And so I would have to unlock it again here. But Sasha, I think, can you confirm if you go to that page that you could actually play the video as well? No?
Yeah, I'm trying to see. So I'm on the page, trying to refresh it.
And you need to click on the button because it needs to know about your identity. So click on there, but it will immediately say, hey, you're a member, and then that should be fine.
Oh, I see. Unclickable video, so connecting to MetaMask.
Yep, you need to, yep, MetaMask needs to know who you are.
Oh yeah, I got into video right away.
Exactly. Cool, right?
Huh, that's awesome.
so one of the
Yep, that was video.
Yeah, so what are the cool things about here is like, remember what I did here, how I unlocked this video, and actually that NFT is valid for 7 days. So that means that basically I've got 7 days to watch the videos. I can watch it 50 times basically if I do that for 7 days. But after 7 days, that membership is not valid anymore. One thing that's really cool about Unlock is like, I could transfer my membership only partially. I could actually have sent to Sasha, rather than sending my 7 days, which I did here, or 6 days and 23 hours and whatever, 52 minutes, I could have transferred to him only say 10 minutes. So my membership would have been reduced by 10 minutes, and then Sasha's membership would have been extended by 10 minutes. So since he didn't have anything, he would have had one valid for 10 minutes. That's really useful in the context of paywalls. So like we discussed this earlier today, paywalls obviously are frustrating because you end up there and you can't read the content. But one thing that you can do with Unlock is like I can share a link with you guys and say, hey, here is 10 minutes worth of my time for you to read that article. And so that's actually a very helpful way to kind of share content between people as a way to say, hey, here's stuff that I think you should read, and here's a little time off of my membership that you can read. If you want to purchase your own, you can, obviously, but at least you can get a little bit of my time from this. What's really cool about this, maybe even further than what I described here, is the idea that you can, as a publisher, you can capture some of the time. You can remonetize that transfer. So here, Chris Black is not doing this, but he could have said, hey, every time somebody transfers a membership, we will burn some of the time. So if you transfer 7 days, I'll burn 1 day. So that means that if I go and transfer my membership from my account to Sasha, now Sasha, I send 7 days, Sasha only receives 6 days because Chris has burnt 1 day on the way. The benefit of doing this is that it means that if we go back and forth enough, at some point, our membership would have expired. And so that means that we would have, either Sasha or me would have to purchase a new one. And so that's a way for creators to monetize a secondary market of membership. And I think that's actually something that's huge and has a ton of impact down the line around these kind of things.
Yeah, I have a quick question off that. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Sweet. So yeah, thank you for that, Jᵾlien. And I deal with primary, secondary markets every day. I deal with the NFT space from the gaming perspective.
Yep.
And a lot of questions I get, rightly so, from creators and gamers and game developers is, well, even if I'm monetizing the secondary market, I'm still competing with it. The primary and secondary are in effect competing. And the way you get around that in NFTs is you sell boxes, you sell packs, you sell chances at skins, you have daily shops. But in your model, how do you get around that? Because your primary market, which is them selling access, is always competing with the secondary market, them selling access. And let's say I bought a lifetime membership. They don't want me to transfer that. That's how they make money, is multiple people buying lifetimes.
They want you to transfer it if they can recapture some of the time. They actually want you to transfer it if they can recapture some of the time, which is what I just explained. Like basically the idea that if you got 100 years membership and you transfer this, and every time you do so, you lose 2 years, is actually something that they want, because that means that they can monetize that transfer much faster. Let's work it down math. Right? Let's say the 100-year membership costs $100. Yep.
And the second guy can go buy $100 membership.
Yep.
Or he can buy the 98 years left on my membership for $5 because I'm done with it. He's obviously going to buy the $5 option. Sure, the creator can take off 2 years, but you understand how effectively they just lost $95.
But why would you sell yours for $5? That's the thing that I don't understand. Like, this is crazy.
Because I'm done.
Yeah, but
no, I understand.
But in practice, you're the one who's living $95 off of the table here, not the creator, not the publisher. Like, basically, the idea is like you're wasting your thing. I actually do think that one of the models that eventually will emerge is like most creators will send long-term membership, and you'll see people kind of rent membership by the hour or by the day. So so I'll purchase like 100 years worth of Netflix, and then I'll sell by the day my Netflix membership at a much higher rate than what I would do if I divided 100 years times 365 days for my membership. The idea is like now the short-term membership is actually more expensive on a unit basis than the long-term membership. And that's exactly what we want here. I mean, think about, I mean, I don't know how old you are, but like the Blockbuster days, right? Like how did like DVD rental work? Exactly like that. Basically, the studios would basically sell thousands or hundreds of thousands of DVDs to stores and kind of recoup immediately their costs, saying, hey, we're not taking any risks beyond this. So as creator, I'm selling all of my content to stores, and then stores are taking the risk of renting the DVDs by the hour or by the day. And I think that's exactly the kind of model that we can now have again here, where you've got kind of people taking risks around content that are purchasing all of the content or as long as possible of the content, and then selling kind of the content in pieces to people who are interested in this. Because a creator is generally not the person distributing their work. Like if you think about a journalist, most of them work through newspapers because they're not interested in working in distribution. They're actually interested in writing content. So when you purchase, when you create your membership, you'll say, hey, all right, I'll sell memberships are only 10 years and I'm going to sell them for $1,000. What happens after this, if I've sold enough, is not my problem in some way. Like I'd much rather have people redistribute my content because that means that I'm increasing my reach. And that means that later on, I'm gonna get more subscribers, more members, more paying people for my long-term content.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It's, just supply and demand. And if you, make the supply, decreasing enough such that recoup time is, enough percentage, then obviously it will balance. So, yeah, cool.
Exactly. That's in the end exactly this. But like I think the critical aspect is the idea that the creator is usually not the distributor. So the creator is usually not the merchant. So they'll do one membership long-term thing. If you want to do this, you get it. And then we'll end up having a lot of businesses actually doing the job of slicing basically long-term membership into short-term memberships. Make sense?
Yep, thank you.
Let's go back to the presentation. So yeah, basically, I think we went through this, but basically all of these membership are non-fungible token. One really cool thing about the non-fungible token, as you know, is like they've got metadata associated with them, which means that as a creator, I can actually ask stuff for my members. So I don't know, like if I'm doing music, I might want to know, I don't know, if let's say I'm doing a conference rather than music, and I want to sell tickets as memberships, I can ask the t-shirt size. And the t-shirt size is basically something that I would put inside of the NFT's metadata. And that is something that actually is very, very cool because that allows me, the creator, to kind of ask for my members optional information or maybe even make it required. I don't think it's usually worth it, but that allows me to kind of communicate with these members in kind of unique ways and get information from them that they want to disclose. And so rather than actually use some kind of other system, the NFT itself, the members card, become the thing that we use to exchange value, which I think is extremely interesting in that context. Cool. So yeah, one thing that I want to basically close on is the idea that the membership economy can be completely decentralized. And so that's like definitely one of the things that enables or is enabled by blockchain. And permissionless similarly, like basically as a creator, you can deploy your own membership, put it anywhere you want on your website, inside of your app, on a chat room, in the physical space. I didn't show you this, but you can actually generate QR code from memberships, from NFTs, which allows you then to kind of prove that you have the membership in the physical world. They're programmable, which is the kind of thing that we described around the idea of splitting them in pieces because they're based on time. You can also plug them in different smart contracts. So you can have a smart contract that basically updates the price of the membership based on how many memberships have been sold. And so you create a bonding curve. The idea is like, hey, I've got my blog. The first membership is going to be $1. The second one is going to be $2. The third one is going to be $3. And that's something that's easy to do by using blockchain because you can actually have these composability aspects, which would not be possible to do if the membership is sitting on a database, because that means that I have to implement this. exist when it's something that I could reuse there. And then maybe more importantly, I think it's maybe critical here is the idea that they're fun. Like all of a sudden, there's a whole world of possibilities that were completely outside of the realm of things that could be done that become possible when you use crypto and blockchain-based memberships. Cool. I think that wraps it up. Please follow us on GitHub and on Twitter. You got both of these things here. Yeah, I'd love to hear from you guys either now or maybe later as well, because I think we're running out of time. 4 minutes.
I'm really curious, Jᵾlien, like if you see like a healthy tension or competition between like, you know, just the Brave way of doing things of like, you know, the whole like where does attention and membership intersect, and like what that like compatibility looks like.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely there's an intersection here. So Brave is two things in my mind. It's on one side, it's the web browser, and I'm a huge fan of the browser in itself. The idea that they're putting inside the browser a lot of decentralization technology, including wallets, but eventually also I think IPFS and much of other things, blocking ads, which I think is definitely valuable. And then Brave is also the BAT ecosystem. And BAT, I think, is actually not the most well-informed approach. The idea of monetizing attention is exactly what we're trying to move away from. And so basic attention token, BAT, I think doesn't do enough on that front. Yes, it's cleaner. It means that ads are more respectful. But in the end, the incentives for creator are still to get more of my attention, and I think that's actually a problem. That said, BAT is an ERC20, so nothing prevents you, and actually I've done that, from deploying your own BAT-based lock. So you can charge BAT for membership. You say, hey, I want 5 BAT from my members every time they want to become members, and that's definitely something that you can do right out of the box with Unlock at this point. So competition might be a big word, definitely aspects that are, I think, good on both sides, but definitely working together, yes, it's possible today.
I don't know how much time we have left to go more into questions. I'm happy to stick around if we're going to do that. But I just want to say, like, just listening to your talk here and the whole conversation, I really, really appreciate your views on this. And I think you really get it, like you really understand this. And yeah, I'm just a big fan of everything that we spoke about, the NFTs and your approach with Unlock. I think it's amazing. And I was just in the chat, like saying this is like freaking cool.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. No problem. One question I do have is when will it connect? I know we had this discussion before.
It is there. So it's there in a strange way. It is there on the paywalls, and maybe I'll send you a demo after this. Please, one thing I'll send you a demo. But yeah, it's actually working. It's a bit different from what you probably expect for a bunch of reasons. So one thing what we've done so far is when people put a lock on their own websites, obviously they might not have their own favorite Web3 provider. And in that case, we will provide one, which is the Unlock account. And what we're moving into the direction now is the idea of allowing creators to actually specify the provider that they want to use. And so they can say, hey, I don't have a provider on my website myself, but then I want to use Wallet Connect. And in that way, now Wallet Connect actually works with Unlock. I'll post a link after this. And then, I mean, it's actually something that we're going to write on our blog pretty next week.
Awesome. I'm excited. I can't wait to see that.
Yes.
Also, I mean, I have another question, but I don't want to hold it up too much. If anyone else has a question.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, awesome, wicked. Yeah, so I guess my my question is around like how do you explain this stuff? How do you make this stuff understandable? Because specifically with your Etherscan example, right? So Etherscan, to my knowledge, is completely free as of today, right? Yes. Am I correct? Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Great.
I think it's
Yeah, completely free, and it's an ad run business. So
yes.
It's I mean, Etherscan is like undoubtedly a really strong tool for the Ethereum ecosystem, and just amazing tool where you can just super duper valuable, right? Yeah. And so you want something like that to be like super duper accessible to everyone. But everything we just discussed is that there's hidden costs, and we're paying for that and we don't realize that. How do
So
like
I think
yeah,
freemium is the answer
that?
here. Yeah, I think freemium is the answer here. Like Etherscan, I mean, as you said, extremely valuable tool for the Ethereum ecosystem. There's a ton of features that are actually used by only a small fraction, which are like the pro advanced users. Like, I mean, I showed you this, but like showing the details of a transaction, I don't know that anybody, I mean, I go look at the API calls and but most people don't, right? Like, and so I think these are stuff that you could say, hey, you know what, this is a paid for product. Verifying smart contracts is definitely a thing that actually is costly for them because it actually involves some stuff on their end, which they wouldn't, I mean, which they could easily charge for because, like, again, normal users who are doing just verification of the transaction might actually not care about the pro version, but having kind of the extended version of the free stuff, I think is extremely valuable as well. So for me, it's membership is definitely flexible enough that you can have maybe a free version and a paid version, but even like a free version and many paid versions. You can imagine a world like, hey, there's Etherscan for NFT and you unlock the NFT interface on Etherscan, and an Etherscan for ERC20s and you unlock the ERC20 interface on Etherscan. We're actually chatting with a bunch of wallets in the Ethereum world to have a similar idea where you can unlock some specific features in your wallet that would be just for members of a specific lock.
Gotcha. Yeah. So making that process of adding tiers and memberships a lot more frictionless, I think, is the big selling point here.
Exactly. And that allows also for experiments, right? Like, it means that they can do many things and then kind of change their strategy over and over. Like, you can have right now membership for pro stuff that eventually evolves and includes more features, or another kind of membership that you introduce later. You can also transfer members from one to another. These are things that are actually extremely possible and extremely easy. Going back to the programmable aspect of the chain, I didn't show you this, but like, obviously this is a smart contract. It's all on Etherscan. It's verified. We provide the ABIs, which means that people can easily kind of hook that on. Basically use that in their own application in ways that they want. And so these programmable aspects, maybe I should have insisted more on that. I definitely think that can be implemented by everyone in different ways.
Gotcha. And I don't know, Jᵾlien, do we have time for one more question, a few more questions, or how do you want to run this?
Yeah, I'm available for a couple more minutes. No worries. Yeah.
So yeah, Jᵾlien.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, I'm loving this energy, and like I'm really enjoying this conversation. I guess I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on like what's your vision of the ideal internet. Do you think the ideal internet looks like a freemium one where something like Unlock is like everywhere around the internet, and like every different website has tiers of like, you know, free stuff, but then also has like tiers of premium stuff? Like, how do you see this?
Yeah, I mean, definitely there is a world in which that's the case. Maybe the most ideal version for me is a world in which there's bundles, in which, like, rather than actually pay for many different websites, I pay once for all of the websites that I care about. And it's also something that's really easy to do with Unlock. Like, once we've deployed a lock or smart contract, I can put it on my one website, and then I can give you the address and you put it on your own website. Charging, I mean, if somebody pays for my content, they'll also get your content as well for free. We can definitely have an agreement together, say, hey, we'll do 50-50, or we have a DAO, which actually splits the revenue using rules that we decide. So for me, the ideal world eventually is one where, yes, we pay for stuff more than we're paid for stuff in some way, which is kind of weird because I, again, don't want to be sold to advertiser or anything like this. So it's a world in which, yes, I pay for this, but at the same time, it's a world in which it's kind of frictionless, easy, and can also end up fairly cheap for most people. Yeah, maybe that's coming back to the question that earlier Mike, I think, asked, or about BAT. One thing that I think is that I should insist on is the idea that whoever on the smart contract, the method to purchase a membership is actually called purchase for. Most of the time you purchase for yourself. Like, I'm going to purchase for me, I'm going to purchase for my own membership, but I can also purchase something for you guys as well. So I say, hey, all right, I want to purchase a membership for Sasha. I can actually purchase a membership for Sasha. So I'm the one sending the transaction, and he gets the NFT right away. The benefit of this, I think, is that you can open the door to maybe a smarter way to do advertising, where rather than actually pay the creator, you subsidize the customers of the creator. And in that world, basically, you have a much healthier thing where the creator is still working for the consumer, but the consumer themselves, if they want to disclose information or kind of see ads, then they can, because the creator is going to pay their memberships, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I like that. So instead of kind of going the ad model where you're kind of paying for attention of the user, the advertiser trying to get the attention of the user would essentially subsidize the product for the customer. Gotcha.
Exactly.
I mean, just to interject, I mean, that's pretty much what happens today, right? Maybe not that exact model, but that is the freemium model, of course, right? Where the, advertisers in effect adding, Google Ad Network to your site does subsidize the eyeballs, right? Instead of charging them a membership.
Yeah, but I don't get a choice.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
It's actually not, no, I think it's actually a very different model. Like in that case, the advertiser is actually paying the creator. They're not paying me to pay the creator. They're paying the creator, which actually is very different because it means that now for the creator, I'm the thing that they're selling to the advertiser.
Yeah, the product, right?
Yep. I end up being the product rather than actually be the actual consumer of content.
No, I mean, I can't. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, do you have any counterpoints to that? I'd be curious to hear your arguments and thoughts around this.
Oh, me? Oh, well, look, I understand the psychology is different, but I think the end result is the same, right? The end result in either case is, look, the end user viewing something has to be monetized from a creative standpoint. I agree with you that I think, from the perspective of if I put G ads on my site, my propensity as an advertiser or, as a content creator is to get as much data from the end user as possible. Now,
and I don't get a choice as a consumer, then I cannot choose. Like I go to your website, my attention and data is going to be stolen, right? In that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
In the other scenario, it's the opposite, right? I get a choice of paying for your stuff and then say, hey, I'm going to pay for this. Don't steal my data. Don't steal my attention. I'm going to pay for this. And there's also a world in which I'm going to pay for this. And you necessarily don't know about this, but like that money is coming from somebody else. It's coming from an advertiser that actually is paying me or giving me money for me to purchase your stuff. It's a completely different flow. I think it's actually more than, it's more than the psychology. It's actually the incentives are completely different.
Okay,
now you as a creator is not trying to get data from me. You're trying to get business from me, which is a very different thing.
Yeah, but why would I as the creator want to have you opt into a model in which the advertiser pays for you to see ads rather than just forcing you that choice?
You don't opt into that model. you from your perspective as a creator, you actually don't see where the money is coming from. You don't know that this money is because I earned it through work or because I earned it through giving away some attention. You don't know
I see what
that.
you're saying. So you're saying this is a completely user-facing choice.
Yes, exactly. It's the user who decides how they pay for things, and so they could.
So I see. You're saying a user can pay 50 cents and get untargeted ads, or free, and they can enter all their info and get targeted ads, or they can pay $5 and no ads.
Exactly. Like basically,
they get to choose the sliding scale. I see.
Exactly, and then the advertiser could actually even decide what kind of content they want to kind of subsidize in some way through me. It's like, I don't know, if I'm a brand that actually cares about the environment, I will not kind of subsidize content from a publication that's against the environment. I don't know if that makes sense, which is something that's actually very hard to do right now.
And that was exactly what
that's actually not a bad value proposition. Now that I'm thinking, that's what you should take to Forbes. You should take that to Forbes and tell them, I can guarantee you $10,000 per article per month. All you put in is my plugin and users choose how they want to pay. I like that. That would actually, as an advertiser, seem like a coherent argument for why they should use you, because it gives them predictable cash flow and they don't care how they get it, and they don't have to do any A/B testing of what really works and what gives them that cash flow.
Yep.
Okay. I'll take it.
That's pretty much exactly what happened with Forbes, right? Like you remove the ads by getting a subscription, right? So
yep.
Spot on.
And the CPM is actually much higher, which is good for them.
That was really funny to see Twitter, by the way. Like people were so confused when they're like, why is Forbes asking for my MetaMask wallet? Like they thought they were like, people were just so confused. And then it was like, oh my God, this is so awesome. Yep. That was hilarious.
Yep.
When will it be coming back? You said in a couple of weeks, right?
We hope in a couple of weeks. They're basically changing a bunch of their stuff on their end, so hopefully soon.
I'm excited. I didn't get a chance to use it the first time, but I'm excited to play with it.
I mean, there's obviously more than Forbes, right? Like I've shared a bunch of links. Actually, follow us on Twitter because there's going to be a bunch of interesting things coming very, very soon.
Already following.
Oh, yes, definitely. Awesome.
Excited to see that stuff come out.
Great.
Yeah. You may have covered this earlier, and I apologize I was late, but I actually think this is actually the solution you were just talking about is something that's going to come to a head here very quickly. There are any number of publications that I want to read a specific author in that I don't want to subscribe to because I'm already subscribed to 7 other just like streaming services. And I think that's an incredibly powerful model for me to be able to say, yeah, I want to read this article I saw on Twitter, but I don't want to pay for it. I'd rather the advertiser advertise to me. I think that's incredibly powerful right now. I think you're at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, there's definitely a bunch of other things. Like this is one of the options. Another one that I think is going to happen at some point is the idea of liquid memberships. Like I might have membership that I trade back and forth between the stuff that I'm currently reading, right? So like I read that article and I've got a membership to New York Times. Now I go to Washington Post. It's like, oh, fuck. I'm going to just swap easily my New York Times. I mean, it's an NFT, right? So you can swap an NFT for another time base. So it's like, hey, I've got 1 week of New York Times. I'll get 6 days of Washington Post. And I can do that transparently as I browse the web. I think that's actually also a very powerful way to say, hey, you know what? Some stuff I will pay for explicitly, and some other stuff I'm actually fine kind of seeing the value kind of propagate in a liquid way in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. And publications could even consider it down to specific writers.
Yep,
right?
exactly.
So you could say, if you could segment it that far, the New York Times or Daily Beast or whomever could say, well, you can subscribe to just this person at a lower rate. And then they know what's driving revenue directly to them and who's doing it.
Yeah, and if you, at some point, you are on another page, you say, hey, we know you got the subscription to that other guy. Do you want to swap this one for this one? No, you on that article. And yes, that's going to cost you a couple cents. But if you're into this, then maybe you'll say, sure, I'll do this. The whole goal is to make it frictionless. Like, let's make it easier and easier to build this kind of experiences, because that actually is going to increase conversion rates and make things much easier for everyone.
That's fantastic.
Thank you very much.
I hope all of these paid Ethereum newsletters start using Unlock, because I think that'd be pretty cool.
Trust me, I've been preaching for that. I've been preaching for that. Yes, I mean that's usually one of the criticism that I make to Ethereum, but I think all of the blockchain ecosystem is like, we need to do more dog fooding. Like I'm
100%.
I'm very disappointed when I hear a lot of very vocal crypto people who don't even have a crypto wallet on their phones. And so it's like, how can you preach about a version of the future that you don't even want to live by? I mean, I see why you do that, because you've got a bag, but it's kind of frustrating that you're expecting somebody else to kind of create value for your bag.
100%, yeah. What's the biggest friction point? So I know there's a bunch of newsletters out there, and I know they all like either accept ETH or they accept fiat dollars. What's the biggest friction for them to adopt something like Unlock?
So actually some of them do, right? Like, for example, Camila Russo, the Defiant, you can actually get a membership to
70
Unlock.
DAI, right? It's like a discount.
Yes, it's exactly. She has an OG membership. Actually, it's pretty cool. It's like the first 100 people pay 70 DAI. I think she's sold like half of these 70 DAI memberships at this point. So yeah, so that's pretty cool. We're seeing more and more. Honestly, it's taking time. Like our stuff, as you said, like Wallet Connect, it's the thing that makes it easier. And so we're in a phase where every day we remove some of the friction. It's obviously taking too much time. We wish it was faster and easier, but we're getting there, and that's actually something that we're pretty excited about. Right.
And so the biggest friction is just the friction with Unlock, or like for these Ethereum?
Both. It's Unlock as a friction. I mean, I actually didn't show you this. We have the credit card thing. If you got a couple more minutes, I'll share my screen and show you how the credit card actually works. It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty cool. It was on the Ethereum Hack Money hackathon. So
yes,
you can either pay by credit. Yeah. But I obviously chose DAI, of course.
Yeah, no, it's good. But let's assume it was 50 DAI. Let's assume you don't have DAI in your wallet. Actually, a bunch of people did this. So I'm going to show you on this blog. It's actually mine, but I've got a 5-minute membership, so I can actually do many demos in a row. It's much easier for me to do these than kind of get rid of my membership and get a new one every time. So kind of become member here. I'm going to click on that button, and I'm using Chrome, which actually has a crypto wallet in it. And you see that in that wallet here, I've got enough ETH, so I could purchase that membership, but I don't have enough Psi because Psi is actually going to go away. So I need to get rid of that completely. But what I can do here is like switch to credit card, and then now immediately we're going to show you a fiat price, which is a lot more than the dollar price, because credit card are taking fees here. And so I'm going to click here. I'm going to put my name. Actually, I'm not going to put my credit card here because I'm doing this with you all. And I don't want you guys to see my credit card number, but you get the idea, right? Actually, let me show you on the staging page so I can actually show you a credit card that actually works right out of the box. I'm clicking here. Oh, I need to switch to Rinkeby, obviously, because it's a test. It's a staging page. Let's refresh. So click on become member, and same view. Basically, we've got 2 membership. Winas is kind of a stable coin on Rinkeby, and I'm going to use credit card here and pay basically this. And I'm going to use a fake credit card number for Stripe, which actually is this. And I'm going to hit purchase, and you'll see that this transaction will go through very quickly, and I'll be able to read that content. Yes, hopefully soon, very quickly. So what's going on here? It's taking more time than it should. I mean, it's going to happen, but yeah, you get the idea, right?
Yeah.
Cool. It's taking way too much time. I think it might be the demo effect here. All right, I'll stop it here so I'm actually not messing with things. Weird. Okay, cool. All right.
But I got the idea that was pretty cool.
Yeah. It's weird. Okay, I'm now worried about what's going on. Anyway. Cool. Any last question, I guess?
I'm good on my side. This was amazing. I don't know if anyone else has any other questions.
Yeah, this is just great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Jᵾlien. It was awesome.
Thanks for having me. All right, chat soon.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Peace out.
Bye.
See you guys. Take care.
Take care.